Alright, so welcome back to another Tacoma video here. So here's what's going on. For starters, audio quality on this video, I'm filming on a Insta360 Go S. It seems like the audio for it's going to be okay. We'll see, so bear with me while I learn some new equipment stuff. Now the Tacoma, what's going on with the Tacoma? So I was driving this the other day because it was snowing, and stopped and got gas and went fine, running my errands. I was on my way home and came to a stop at a light, and it was making this like humming noise it doesn't normally make. So at idle, but like driving, it didn't make any weird noises. So I pulled into a parking lot, popped the hood. Truck sounded like it was idling completely normal, like all the noise in the engine bay completely normal. I was thinking maybe it was like a bearing humming or like a dry belt or something like that. Nothing. In the truck it was making the noise though, so I shut it off and it wouldn't turn back on. Now as far as that goes, so I've we'll put this in the truck now. So my main thoughts here are one of two things. Either there's bad gas or the fuel pump gave out. So for starters, let's just see this morning, let's just see if we get anything. I haven't tried starting this since I last drove it on Saturday. It's Wednesday now. Yeah. No, it did try a little harder than that after I'd driven it last. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna pull a fuel sample. Now, if I recall correct, there's a fuel line. I think this is it. I'm pretty sure this is fuel. And then that goes into the back of the fuel rail. Down in here, because I had this off when I did the valve cover gasket. Alright, just quick pause. I know that this isn't super relevant to this video, but no, you don't disconnect this line just when doing the valve cover gasket. I've actually replaced the entire valve cover on this side before, which I had it off for that, and also I think when I did some intake gaskets or something. So the point is, I've had it off before. So I think what we're going to do, I'm just going to verify that this is a fuel line. And then I think we're just going to pop the tube off with this clamp right here. We'll run that tube into the bottle, and then we'll turn it over, and that'll do one of two things. Either it's going to run the fuel pump to prime, and we're going to get fuel in a water bottle, and we'll be able to kind of take a sample of that and see whether or not there's water in the fuel, like if we have bad gas. Or we're going to do that and nothing's going to come out, which means we're not getting fuel delivery at all, which means we probably have a pump problem. Those are kind of the two main things that I'm thinking this is, so hopefully we can get that figured out. Alright, so the Insta360 died on me, which it's brand new, so I just didn't charge it enough. So here's what's going on. These two lines right here, so these are both fuel lines to the fuel rail. They come out over here. So I have a hard fitting, which I'm not going to disconnect. This hose runs back through here under this stay. There's a little bracket for it. I was trying to pull it off here. You can't really get your hand at it good enough. So this is a vacuum line to the brake booster. I pulled it off of the intake, just said I can get this out of the way, kind of swing it so I can get my hand down in there. I'm actually going to try to disconnect this line down here, and then that way I can stick this into a bottle easier, and we'll have to catch on both sides because I think this is actually a return line. So it should come out of this side, but it could come out of this little fitting here too. So we'll want to capture both to pull our fuel sample. The main struggle now is just because it's cold, trying to pull this line off of this fitting. All right, so this isn't coming off, so we're gonna use some heat, try to get this hose warm enough here that we can pop it off. All right, so here's the setup we got here. So we got that hose off, and the hose itself, so you can see it right here, we brought that down into this bottle here, and then this is the hard line, and that's going to run into this bottle. And this bottle looks a little weird because initially I did use it to catch some what do you call it, fuel out of it, and I dumped that out, so both of these are pretty dry now, so we can kind of try to get the most accurate reading that we can. So now we're going to prime it and see what we get, and hopefully we don't get gas everywhere. And the way we're going to do that, just from rolling over here to ready status, we should prime the pump. I don't believe we have to try to turn it over to do that. Let's see. Okay, it doesn't look like we're getting anything, so we're gonna try turning it over. Now, obviously this isn't gonna start. We're just gonna clutch cancel here. Okay, we have nothing. That's not really what I wanted. We're gonna try this one more time. We're gonna shut all this off. We're gonna try priming it again. We still have nothing in either of these. Oh, you know what? I don't think this will matter. Let's put this back on just in case for some reason this pulling vacuum is going to affect that. All right, we still have nothing. So at this point, my main thought is going to be, okay, we're not getting fuel at all because it's not being pumped through the system. So my main thought is going to be the pump. I can try knocking on the tank with a hammer and see if like there's just something clogged up in there and it kind of kicks back over. Otherwise, I may go try to get like a really long siphon and just pull a fuel sample directly out of the tank. This is a little easier because you're just making the pump pull a fuel sample for you, but clearly we're not having any luck with that. So, all right, so here's a little conclusion just on what I ended up doing. So obviously, like we had earlier, we're not getting fuel is what it seems like. So the other day, after I shut this off and tried to start it, it would sputter like it had fuel, but it wouldn't kick over. Today, like you can hear, it's just turning over, but it's not even sputtering. So clearly it's not getting fuel. Having allegedly the pump primed and running, there's no fuel coming out of these fuel lines, which means no matter what, we're not getting fuel delivery. So we don't have to worry about power, like it's not necessarily an electrical thing. Like it's not like the injectors aren't getting power or something like that and it's not getting ignition. Like it's definitely a fuel delivery issue. So under here, when we read this, right, we have the 20 amp fuse here, which is for EFI. And then we have, this is an EFI relay. The amp, I've pulled this, the amp is good. The relay I swapped with the tail relay, and that's both good as well. I've also just checked the tail relay normally to make sure that it was working. This runs your taillights. So swap that with EFI, still nothing. And then I looked online. So allegedly in here, under here, this panel's been missing forever. This is your internal fuse box. This relay right here, it's the same 12-volt relay. Allegedly, that's a circuit, I forget exactly what it's called. It's like a circuit open relay or something like that. And some people said, okay, sometimes that circuit relay goes bad and then that's not getting power. So it's, like I said, the same relay that's in the fuse box up there. So I swapped that with the taillight one, and it still doesn't start. So all of our electrical stuff from a relay for the fuel system seems to be good. If you read articles online too, like there's some people saying that on the backside of this inside, so this is a interior body harness module. So this really shouldn't do too much EFI control stuff, because this is all interior electronics. People were saying on the backside of this there could be the fuse for like that might actually be the circuit fuse. I've had this out before. There's a large wire harness plug on the back, and then there's people were saying the fuse in the top left of this could be it. It's not, because that's your turn signal relay, and that I know for a fact because I put LEDs in here and I had hyper flash, and then I replaced that to get rid of the hyper flash. So that's a turn. The relay on the back is a turn signal relay. It's not actually like a circuit one. So what I've deduced from this is electronic system's good. It seems like we're just not getting fuel delivery. Now I did buy, is it still back here? No. I did buy a siphon to try to siphon fuel out of this, and there's a flap on the way down the filler neck that you can feel the siphon push past. You don't want to push too hard on this kind of stuff because obviously you don't want to break that in the filler neck, but with light pressure you could feel it push past. And then there's another check valve at the bottom. It wouldn't push past that, so I wasn't able to draw a fuel sample that way. But at this point I feel pretty good that it's probably not the fuel pump, and it's not electronics for the fuel system, or I'm sorry, not the fuel pump. I think it probably isn't bad gas. I think it probably is the fuel pump, because this just turned 299,580 something. So there's like 300,000 miles on this truck, and to the best of my knowledge, that's the original fuel pump. So I think what I'm going to do now is I'm not going to just do the fuel pump. I'm going to do the entire, like the fuel pump and the sending unit. And the easiest way to do this, because this has a full tank, so to drop the tank is going to be pretty difficult. Normally dropping the tank's not hard. There's 3 leading bolts on the leading edge of this skid plate. It comes down, and then there's a tank strap in the rear. But again, with 20 gallons of fuel in it, this thing's going to be insanely heavy. So I think what's actually going to be easiest, if I can show you this here, that is our access. Let me get a flashlight. So right up here is the actual access to the fuel, or I'm sorry, not to the fuel, but basically right here is where that fuel pump and sending unit are on the tank, which means the easiest thing to do is not actually going to be to drop the tank. I've had the bed off before because this is actually a replacement bed, and it's 6 bolts. So I think what I'm probably going to do is pull the bed off and just do the fuel pump from there. And I might have to take my rear tailgate off, which I don't necessarily want to do that because this thing's heavy, but it's 4 bolts that hold this on, so I can take the rear bumper off. Obviously your taillights come out when you do that. I'll have to cut some of the wires, not the wires, but like the cable ties for my trailer wire harness, just because I have them zip tied to the bed. So I'll have to take those off, pull this rear bumper off, and then take the fuel filler neck trim out. And then other than that, there's a bolt here, a bolt here and then a bolt up front, so it's 3 on each side, and the whole thing comes off. And like I've said, I've done the bed on these before. It's actually not really that hard, and they're pretty light, so with just 2 people, you know, you can move them around pretty easy. But that is pretty much what's going on with the Tacoma.